We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Your Health is Your Choice, right here in selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sara Troy. My guest today is Victor Sagalovsky. We're going to be talking about water. I've done many shows on water, and it's always fascinating, the things that we learn about it. And of course, water we cannot do without. Our bodies are 70% water, and water is something that we need in order to survive, and things need to grow. But what about this deuterium, depleted light water? I've never heard about this before, but Victor co-founded Litewater Scientific, the first and only super deuterium depleted light water, where he has dedicated himself to the research, development, and production of this rare water. Victor has researched and studied the benefits of deuterium depleted water through the theory entitled Indigenous Radiation Damage Theory of Aging. It proposes that our biggest obstacle to longevity is the excess of deuterium and other damaging isotopes in the planet, and the proper migration will radically extend our lifespans. So he started his career as an innovator in plant-based culinary art, having co-founded the first organic gourmet raw food restaurant in North America called Raw, and he attended Loyola University and the University of Hawaii, where he pursued multidisciplinary education. He has had completed apprenticeships and graduate coursework in chemistry, optic microscopy, molecular biologically. I'm sure I'm saying these all wrong. He's an author of many articles and guides in the field of wellness, biohacking, emerging medicine, technology, mysticism, esoteric wisdom, and outside the water category, Victor is the author of Gold, a catalytic of radiant health, a book about the history and the science of medicinal benefits of gold, and the adept gold alchemy and making of Om. We have a lot to talk about here. And first of all, Victor, what really is deuterium depleted light water? This is not something I've heard of before. And why is it so bad for us?
I'll be happy to tell you why. I wanted to correct something. You said we're 70% water, and actually, if you look at it molecularly, it's a lot more than that. We're actually 98.9% water by molecular weight.
Wow.
But we are just water beings and
We're just
some
inside out fish.
right? Basically, I mean, all life is just swimming in a sea of water. So now all water is. From school, we learned that water is H2O. I think most people know that molecular formula for water is H2O. And a little bit of water, let's say 1 out of every 3,300 molecules of water, instead of being an H2O, is an HDO or HOD. And that D is deuterium. It's a version of hydrogen. It's a heavier version of hydrogen. It's called an isotope. And hydrogen is 75% of the universe. It runs everything. It runs stars. It runs our bodies. It runs rocket ships. Whatever, you name it, right? Everything runs on hydrogen. And the reason everything runs on hydrogen is because it's so simple. It's got a proton and an electron spin around it, or an electron cloud. Now, deuterium adds a neutron, so it doubles the mass. Now, oxygen doesn't know any better, and it still binds with that heavier form of hydrogen. Deuterium is also known as hydrogen 2, and the abundant form of hydrogen, which is about 99% or more of all the hydrogen out there, is this hydrogen 1. Okay, so because we have a little bit of this heavier water, it's known as heavy water, semi-heavy water, in our world's water supply, that means that we have this also in our body's water supply in our world, and to the tune of about 1 to 4 grams. And it doesn't seem like much in the grand scheme of things. You're talking average human weighs 60 to 100 kilograms, okay? And So, but when you look at it, how much of it is in everything, and you see that there's 5 to 8 times more of deuterium in our body by weight than the molecules that we need for life, like glucose and the minerals that we need, like potassium, magnesium, calcium, etc. So we're just loaded with this stuff, and it's heavy water or semi-heavy water. So it interferes with our biology. It interferes with the way we make energy because we use hydrogen to make energy. And when that hydrogen is replaced by deuterium, then that energy production suffers. And over a lifetime, you can see the damage that occurs. Mm-hmm. So it's quite a profound discovery that was done. That was about 70 years ago almost. They made this discovery that heavy water is bad and light water is good. And so I'd say most of the water on the planet is that medium water, because heavy water you have to make in a lab, mm-hmm. and light water occurs in certain spots on the planet, kind of, and it's also made like we make it. And mm-hmm. we make it by replicating the hydrological cycle of nature. We just amplify it. So in certain areas, and this is how they discovered it, is people were trying to figure out why people in these areas in Siberia were living longer, and eventually honed in on the water and saw that it had 16% less deuterium than the water everybody else is drinking. So I wrote a great article about this. It was a great discovery, and that was what the Russians were doing. And on the American side, when they discovered that hydrogen had another isotope, this ushered in the atomic age, because now you discovered you have this deuterium, and it's very useful for atomic reactions.
Of course, let's weaponize it.
Right. So they said, okay, well, what if it combines with oxygen and make water, right? It's the same. It's just heavy water. Oh, it looks like water, it tastes like water, it drinks like water. If you would think it's regular water. But if you drink this for 3 to 5 days, you die.
Oh.
Right. So the Americans said, okay, heavy water is bad. It's incompatible with life. But luckily, it doesn't really occur in nature. Like, there's very little of it. You'd have to make it in a lab. So it's not like a real big danger. And on the other side, the Russians found that when people were living somewhere where they had naturally lower deuterium than the average on the planet, they lived longer. And so did their animals and plants, and everything just was hardier, right? Mm-hmm. It had multifold benefits. And then 60 years later, the science explained why. And it's a mechanical problem. It's just, this thing is too big for our energy production pathways. It's just double the size of regular hydrogen, and our body and oxygen mistakes it for regular hydrogen until it's too late. So over the course of evolution, we evolved to kind of manage this, right? All life evolved to manage this deuterium problem. But we have more on our planet now than we did 100,000 years ago.
How come?
There's a number of theories, but one of them for certain, when the glaciers melted after the ice age, it released a lot of methane, which has a lot of hydrogen, which has a lot of deuterium. So that increased it. And every time we get hit by a comet, a watery comet or a meteor, the deuterium goes up on our planet. And so it's natural, but it's also bad.
Right. What are the side effects of it in a human?
It slows you down. If you look at the kinetics of it, it's like the gum stuck on the bottom of your brand new shoes that you've trained and you're ready to run the race, and now you step in this wad of sticky gum. So when you look at the molecular problem that it creates, it's like somebody too big trying to get through a door that's too small for them. Mm-hmm. They're gonna and no one's turning them away, so they're just gonna break it to get through.
Right.
And so this is happening nonstop. Every 5.5 seconds, essentially, there's a motor in your body. There's these little nanomotors. There's billions of them in your body, in the mitochondria, and they spin to create energy. Right? They spin because hydrogen comes in, causes this thing to spin, and it produces energy, ATP. And every 5.5 seconds, instead of this motor getting the fuel that it wants, it's like your gasoline engine getting some diesel once in a while. It's not good for it, or vice versa. So it's giving the body the wrong fuel. And we manage this, but as we continue to try to manage this, as we get older, as we grow older, as we age, hit our peak and then decline in terms of biological function and all the other stuff, you see that it overruns us fairly quickly. This ability to manage this deuterium problem. So our solution was just to make a water that is deuterium depleted. So your body becomes over time deuterium depleted.
So the feeling of sluggishness,
yeah,
like you just, you just feel that you're just not optimized. It's like I always kind of refer to it like the battery on our phone. You fully charge it, but it depletes so quickly. And it never really kind of holds the charge. And I think
that's because as we age, we have less mitochondria per cell. So the mind is willing, but the body is physically weaker, because when you're let's say when you're 15, let's say a normal cell in your body will have 20,000 mitochondria, and then that same cell, give yourself like some decades, like 4 decades, and now you're in your 50s, and that cell may have 10% or half of the same mitochondria, those factories that are making energy and regulating our body temperature. And you see that as we age, it's just a matter of entropy, where we shut down these factories that are making energy. So you wanna, but you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. You don't have the juice. So this helps to preserve your mitochondria, the act of deuterium depletion, not the water itself. The water just gets you to deuterium depletion, but the state of being deuterium depleted, that helps you save the mitochondria you have, make them work efficiently. And then you can get into this conversation of mitoneogenesis, which is producing more mitochondria, which is done when you're under stress. Like when you're an athlete and you start training, your body actually starts compensating and producing more mitochondria, which is phenomenal. It's fantastic.
Would you contribute this to a deterioration of the organs in the body, or even the sluggishness in the mind?
The sluggishness in the mind, for certain, because I notice how, well, not entirely though, because everybody's different, and genetics play a big factor in everything that you are, and it's just genetics are a big piece of this. But if so, yeah, what we're talking about is energy, really. We're talking, and when you're dealing with energy, you're talking about turning genes on and off, right? You're talking about epigenetics. And in fact, some of the early work on this in the medical side, and from Hungary, with over 3,000 case studies, the work was showing how the deuterium and hydrogen ratio in the body will turn on and off certain oncogenes, genes that may give you a higher risk for cancer, right? So there's a relationship in the body between hydrogen and deuterium. And if that ratio is off, or if that ratio is altered, things happen. Now, when that ratio is altered for the benefit of hydrogen, then you have lightness. You are saving your mitochondria. You're slowing down the aging process. You're creating a reserve of energy, and you're also conserving energy. So that's very different than the opposite, right?
So I believe everything has the energy. So the energy signature in the waters of your body will be optimizing at a higher frequency.
Yes, because the water in the body, it likes to stay like a crystal. And what is a crystal? It's really one. It really doesn't have any. A perfect crystal is just made up of. Is just in this case, in the crystal sense, silica, right? A perfect crystal just has nothing but silica. It's very. There's nothing else in it, right? So anything else is perceived as a contaminant. So in our body, that liquid crystal, water, doesn't want any contaminants. And we're talking about minerals, and we're talking about this heavy hydrogen.
Right.
It screws up the lattice and how
Right.
and the coherence of that crystal. So it wants this. It's a mono molecule, or I guess it's not monoatomic, but it's a series. It's like there's every time you in a metal you have the same thing. If you have a bunch of iron or copper, it's strong. Anytime you get something else in that, it either weakens or strengthens it. So it wants uniformity. So the water in our body is very much that, because it's not water that we drink, it's water that we make.
Right.
So it's great you bring that up, because the water inside our bodies, in the cells, in the mitochondria, in those deep nanoconfined spaces, that's water that we make, and it's 60-70% deuterium depleted already. So the body is trying to keep this deuterium out. It's like, okay, stay out of my energy pathways. It's big trouble. It's just a elephant in a china shop. It's too big. It doesn't belong. So it's a mechanical problem that we have. That's why the doctors that hear me speak, they love this, because they instantly get it. You can't argue with a mechanical problem.
Right. Yeah. It's very obvious. So would you say then it could essentially all the minerals that we're meant to be having in our water that fortifies our body is just not being absorbed? So therefore, I mean, because you can drink various waters and it just goes right through you. You seem to kind of disperse. So it's not actually nurturing.
It's not hydrating you. It's not hydrating you. It's not hydrating you. And a lot of mineral water is not hydrating. Our water, we don't put any minerals in it, because we recommend a marine plasma, because something that is actually bioavailable and in the same perfect ratio as your blood. That's the key, because we come from the sea, we come from the ocean. In order for us to survive on land, we have to bring the ocean with us. A very famous person once said that. Yeah, it's the ocean inside. So the minerals that we get from water, if they are not in a bicarbonate state, then technically they're not minerals, because a mineral is bound to carbon. It's something that you can use. They're technically elements. And elements, plants need to uptake and digest, and then you eat the plants to get the mineral.
Right.
Then your body can use it. So we can't eat dirt if we could. And if it's a dirt that we can eat, that dirt is usually looks like dirt, but it's actually organic plant matter it's organic, right? It's like, so if you see any animals eating dirt, then you'll know that that's not actually dirt. It's some kind of humic substance that's I guess known as sacred earth, because it's plant matter that's been decomposed over time, and it's still bioavailable. So drinking spring water, the less total dissolved solids, the less particulates you have in spring water, the better, because you don't know what's in there and what you're getting. And a lot of the taste of water is based on its mineral profile, and this is why some waters win best tasting water in the world and some don't. It's based on, they're lucky enough to have a pleasing mineral, something that's pleasing to the palate as far as mineral profile goes, but also it has to be hydrating. And the water inside our cells it's free of any mineral, it's free of any contaminant, all the way down to this atomic contaminant, which is this neutron, which is deuterium, extra neutron. So we're just starting to understand that there's a new standard in water purity, and it's the reduction or removal. You never get 100% of it out, but it's just even the reduction of it by 20% or more. The reduction of deuterium gives you, when you do it in a lab, when you do it in a factory like we're doing, you can't do it at home because the technology doesn't exist for a home, and it's a very niche field right now, because only 4 companies in the world know how to do this, how to take this semi-heavy water and heavy water out of regular water to make light water. And that's the name of our company, Litewater.
Right. Yeah. And it's, as I said, I've done many shows on water, including the Emoto water demonstration, and
Masaru Emoto,
right? Yeah. He died, but his assistant that worked with him for years.
And his son is still.
Yes. So I've interviewed around them a few times, and a few people take water for granted. And it's like, my daughter is pregnant with her second child right now, and she just can't stand the taste of water. It is
because it's
just
not the right because
right.
it's not the right water. Her body is overly sensitive to what it doesn't want.
Yes.
So that water doesn't want. If I can make a recommendation, what I would do, not a doctor or a medical practitioner, but what has helped, I noticed over many years, actually 100 years of research, to be quite honest, uh, for women that are pregnant, is to take ketone. Do you know about ketone? Ketone is a marine mineral supplement.
I am going to write that down. Ketone, does
Q
K-E-Y?
Q
Oh, Q.
Quinton. It's a Canton is how you pronounce it in French, Canton, and or people here pronounce it Quinton or Canton, but it's Canton, and it's a guy's name that figured this out, and he discovered that there's plankton blooms in the ocean that produce this type of organic seawater that is nearly identical in mineralization and organic, bioavailable to the human blood. And this has been a product in the European pharmacopoeia for over 100 years. So women that are pregnant, they're giving up an enormous amount of minerals to the child. Right?
Yes.
It's basically a parasite growing in.
Yes.
And it's a parasitic relationship in a sense. So you want to really, really load up. The labor will probably be easier. Everything you probably load up on Cantone, marine plasma, isotonic and hypertonic. There's two types, and now you're going to be replenishing all those minerals that you're giving up, because essentially a part of our evolution is the aquatic ape, and as the aquatic ape, we had a relationship with seawater, with salt water, with the ocean, with being in and out of the sea. So we were always exposed to mineralizing ourselves with the ocean, which is what our blood is, right? So we moved away from that. If we live inland in the mountains, very few people have that relationship going on anymore. So you have to put this back inside of you and us. So this is super important. And so any pregnant woman, I recommend you look into this and consult your healthcare practitioner to find out more.
I mean, what I find with the world at the present moment on every level is we're out of balance. We're energetically out of balance, emotionally out of balance, physically out of balance. And, really, the body likes to be in sync with itself. It likes to be in balance.
It likes homeostasis. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because, we're so out of balance energetically. Did you know that we consume 600 times more electricity, more energy than we produce? An average human body will produce 50 to 100 watts on a treadmill, a stationary bicycle, or just living, right? You just produce 50 watts, and we use on an ongoing basis. Shock me, shock anybody that has sense about them. We use 60,000 watts continuous energy in everything that we do. If you take all the energy that we make on the planet and you divide that by every human being, the average comes out to be we use 60,000 watts.
And the body wasn't designed for that, was it?
Well, not the body, it's the earth. It's that we use we are energy hogs. We want 600 times more energy than we can produce ourselves. We demand it.
Yeah.
We'll put radioactive rods to boil water to produce energy so we can have a light and refrigerated food. We demand energy. We want to fly in our planes. We want to power our homes. We can't live without it. No. I mean, we could.
We did for centuries.
That's the irony.
But now, can you get?
No, we're spoiled. We're spoiled. We're not going back. No, we're spoiled, and we like it. So we have to solve this problem, or it'll be the end of us. We have to figure out how to make that 600x demand sustainable. Because if we don't, we're cooked.
Literally.
But that is why we age too. Is we need more energy than we get, and that creates this aging process. We need for energy for repair, energy for everything, and we're chronic abusers of energy.
Yeah.
Chronic. Like we'll overthink things. We'll overeat. We'll even overbreathe.
Yeah.
So we'll certainly drink tons of water that doesn't hydrate us. So yeah, we have this problem where we're like 1 foot in the traditional world, which we know, which is nature, which is not an easy world to survive in. For a long time, let's face it, it's not all paradise. It's not utopia. It's not the Garden of Eden, but it is a nature that we've evolved in, that we know. And our other foot in technology,
Yeah.
technological evolution. And you can't balance when these things are going.
It's how do you find the happy balance? And I think it's as with anything in life, it's if you overconsume anything, that opulence is you're going to pay for it in some way or the other. And it's like we waste a lot, we consume too much, and I think it's not only putting stress on our environment, it's putting stress on our body, but it's also putting stress on our minds that more is more instead of less is more. And we're constantly striving to I've got to have more.
That's our
Who said?
slogan.
Yeah.
That's one of our slogans at Litewater, is less is more.
Yes, it is. And that's the thing, is that if we could just hone back and just relook at our life and say,
Well,
do you need that? Is this serving you? Because without our health, I don't care what wealth you got. Your health is your wealth.
I always look at it as the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And when some of us that are more self-conscious and self-reflective than others may realize that the path they're taking is not the path of least resistance, and the entire time they thought perhaps it was, or they never really quite thought about it that way, then you're in for a shock and an awakening, because the path of least resistance is actually it's that by definition it's easier, it's simple, and it's just there for the taking. And but
we've
it also
become lazy. We want it easy.
Well, we're overcomplicating it for us because we want it easy, which makes it harder.
Yeah.
Like I learned a long time ago that if you don't have enough time to do something right the first time, you have plenty of time to do it right the second. And so we're just a bunch of people running around that look like adults, but they're just uninitiated children.
Yes.
Right? They haven't entered adulthood yet. They're still
Chasing
waiting
tails.
they're still waiting for that ceremony, that proverbial bar mitzvah, to become a fully realized human being that takes responsibility for themselves, but also tries to do better by others. So it's a tough one, because we live in this world where we're more rewarded by being a good cog in the wheel, right? Or a good cow or goat on the plantation, and really somebody that advances human knowledge, human thought, and tries to remove suffering from others. And the way you do that is by sharing great discoveries.
Yes.
that work. And then, of course, at first you get challenged, rejected. You get, because we live in a system that's plutocratic, meaning that good ideas don't rise to the top. The ideas that are at the top want to stay at the top. They don't care if they're better. They just already
but
are.
I always believe it doesn't have to be to the top if it's around. Hand it off to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, the ripple effect. It's like, I think that has actually more impact than trying to be at the top and maintain the top. Leave them up at the top if that's where they want to be. But I think if we can actually join hands in the knowledge and in the change and in the consciousness, I think that we will actually, the circumference of strength rather than just the ivory tower.
That's the beauty of this decentralized ecosystem that we're adopting in a digital way, because it really closely models our collective cooperative model of the past, our tribal communal type of existence that we are naturally gravitate toward. And the world that we live in now, that we've been, I would say, forced to live in over the last 100 years, just by some overarching factors
Hmm.
that it's unnatural. It's
Yes.
unnatural to
And
the
we're
way
paying the
we've.
price.
That's no. It's not how we've. We could probably adapt. We've
Hmm.
learned that humans are probably the most adaptable animals on the planet. We can survive in any climate. We could survive in anything. We are pretty much the most adaptable. Maybe the cockroach is a little better, but now we're gotten to the point where we have to work on the frontal lobes more and
Hmm.
let them take the lead more often than the limbic brain, which is just fight or flight and survival. Like
Yes.
we've given a we've but they've put us into these cities and these unnatural ways of existing that we need to work that back out. We it was at some point at some point we were very much in tune with using biomimicry to understand what works for us. Because if you look at old churches and old even just a few hundred years ago, you saw how their city planning, and you
Hmm.
see it was very harmonic. It was in tune with the fractal
Yeah.
nature of existence. It was no hard lines. It was all just very much you
In
just
flow.
in flow. It was very much in the flow of nature, and then we stopped that, like all the way to the point where hey, if the sunrise is over here, but you know what, we're gonna face the window this way. Like, why would you do that? What's
I
wrong with
know.
you? Like,
We became little
what
boxes.
why
By
did you
literally.
do that, right?
Yeah.
And yet our cities are these master planned Masonic temples because they were into this. They were true. They're true. The original architects of this of the cities. You know, they wanted to do it like the right way on harmony. You know,
Yeah.
harmony was really important. And then at some point, we just that just got thrown out the window when commerce came in as the
Hmm.
law of the land. And
Yeah.
you see that from the 20s and 30s, and you see they had this pride in the buildings that were created in Art Deco phase, and
Beautiful,
all of a
beautiful
sudden
decor at that time.
all of a sudden in the 50s and 60s, it just boxes started coming up,
I know.
and so we've been that ever since.
Yes.
And so we've been a culture in decline ever since this hungry race for resources, the dollar, and artificial scarcity has been the the conversation at the water cooler.
Right. Well, I mean,
Right?
again, it goes back to we've been sold a bill of goods that more is more, and that we need more, and that we have to have more, and it's become a status symbol, and you're not going to be happy unless you have this. And it's like, and then what has been absolutely deprived is the village connection. The village was only as strong as everybody's participation.
You
You
know,
know,
you realize that you didn't need much if you had good friends and
yes,
family
and everybody was there to support one another,
right,
good and
right.
bad.
Right. The cars didn't matter
Yeah,
anymore. The things that, but if you don't have that,
yeah,
then all of a sudden you become very selfish with you're like it's like we're children. Like that's what I'm saying. It's just a bunch of children running
yeah,
around,
yes,
and the children birthing children, and with no rhyme or reason for how to exist as a cooperative human being. And for me, it's just funny to watch because I'm living in this society and I'm part of it, I guess. And I just see how ill-equipped people are, and I ask myself, how did I,
take a different path.
how did I take it? How did I take a different path? And certain we are the culmination of all the choices that we ever made in our
Yeah,
lives, this very
yeah.
moment. So it's just choices that you make, but you can't even your choices now these days. You're scrambled. Like you don't have this way or that way. You've got
Multiple ways.
you don't know where to go anymore.
But we also we don't listen anymore because what we're doing is I call it headliners. Everything is emoji and headliners, and that's where the satisfaction is. That's where the answer is. That's where you hook them in, and people don't. They're
Right.
not present with self. They don't know how to slow down and just digest information. And what does that information to you? How do you apply it? How is it going to benefit you? How can you use it to benefit others? We're just so busy chasing, chasing, chasing an outside existence that we don't realize our entire existence lies within ourselves, the connection with our own source, our own energy, our own divine presence. And if we stop chasing the outside illusion and step into the inside, we become more in sync, more harmonious with ourselves. And that is what resonates out to others.
That's well put, and you're always rewarded when you take that path.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, anybody has taken that path and they've really been through the roller coaster to get there. They say they would do it all again, exactly the same way if they had to be where they are today. And that is present with self. But it is, that's when you really start looking at what you've put in your body, how you've, what words have you said to yourself, how you've reacted to other people, what people you've had around you, what were you chasing? This illusion that that we've been sold by society that you're not important unless. And when you could stop buying into that and start looking at my real wealth is in my health, mind, heart, body, and soul. And when I'm enriched with that connection, I now am an ingredient for the world to really nurture the world in the way that I'm here to do. But we have to really apply it to ourselves first, don't we?
You have to go through, the process.
Mhm.
You can't avoid it. And if you
No,
avoid it, then
Resi- resistance is futile.
resistance is futile. And for like I knew that if I wanted to understand water, me personally, wanted to understand it from a not only a cognitive, mental level, scientific level, but I really want to understand our relationship with it. I went I went 6 days without it, no food or water. Okay, so I understand. I started meditating in that moment and understanding what water is and what you and what it
And
is
how we
without.
need it, the
How
right
we
stuff.
what is it's you we keep if we just stopped what we're doing, and then that includes stopping the voices in our heads.
Yes.
And it's very brave to do so because it's for many people it's new. They're not used to stopping everything. They're afraid to be with their own thoughts. They don't know what will come up. And but if you stop, this is why psychedelic therapy is so big right now. It's getting
Yes.
it's growing because the young people, or any age really, they're not satisfied with being a limited human. Not
Exactly.
satisfied with it. So they
No,
want.
that there will be absolutely no joy or happiness in living this societal's expectation. I guarantee you, I promise you, you will never ever find personal joy. I don't care how rich you are, how powerful you are, how many followers you got, you will never find it in the outside. It is an inside job. When you can be at home with yourself and you love being with you in your own presence, then you know you are that beautiful essence and presence that's now going to be able to serve
And
others.
absolutely, and a lot of times you may not like yourself very much, and that's something you have to resolve
Yes,
from within until you get to the point where you not only love yourself, but you like your company. Like you make yourself
exactly.
right.
You're
You
not running
enjoy.
away from yourself all the time.
You're not running away from yourself, and I
Yeah.
and I and I get it. That does happen to people, but that's something that you can never run away from. You're always
Yeah.
going to be with the same person, and that's you. And we get frustrated because we don't have the energy to. We don't have the energy
Right.
to deal with our, because a lot of this is psycho spiritual emotional,
Yeah.
and our brains. It's not the body that consumes the bulk of the calories.
Hmm.
It's the
Yes, the
brain,
noggin.
the noggin, right? And if you slow it down a little bit,
Yeah.
it'll need to burn less fuel, but also
And have more clarity as well. Because you're
clarity.
really seeing what you need to know in the moment that you need to know it instead of all the da 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 da. You're
Well, we don't
present.
have we if we did have we're born here with all the tools, but we
Yes.
lost the manual. We don't have the manual.
No.
Let's say if we did have the manual, somewhere in that manual, in one of the chapters, it would say that when you sit quietly and ask, you will get the right answer.
Always.
Your intuition is a feature. It's a feature of your existence, and it's real. It's like it's as
100%.
real. It's as real as you waking up in the morning and seeing the sun come up. It's real. So, and so we have these tools that are. It's like, well, what would nature do to make this easy? Well, what would nature do? Well, nature would give me the faculty to ask the question if I don't know the answer, and then it would come to me, right?
Right.
Through either thought or this like
Oh, someone else.
omenology or someone
Yes.
else, or
Yeah.
something,
What you
and
need
then
to know
sure,
will happen when you need to know it.
because if that's, to me, that's like a normal, like somebody that's like normal, like or progressively normal, like
Yes.
that to me would make the most sense, that I just there should be this mechanism where I ask, and so it is answered. Because we live in a designer reality, a designer universe. This is not
And
this
a
is
one
not
size
random.
fits all, which is illogical.
We're living in all space and all time at once,
Yes.
for the full totality of the
Yeah.
multidimensional self. That means there's no limit to anything.
No.
That means if you have a problem, you have to ask the question, and you have to sit with it, and you have to, but authenticity is the requirement.
Yes.
Right? Because denial is not a river in Egypt.
No. No.
And we have this greater, like, if we were to be known, if we're, maybe we don't know that there's any extraterrestrial life, or at least we're not convinced, maybe some of us are, but if extraterrestrial life knows about us, I could guarantee that we are famous in the entire galaxy, perhaps the universe, multiple galaxy famous humans, for having the art of denial. I don't think it's a feature of anywhere else on the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I think
or in the animal kingdom.
Yeah. I think this is pure. Well, dogs have learned from us how to do it really well, but because they'll hide their crimes and pretend they didn't do it. Yeah. But like children. But yes. But that's just our art. That's human art, and it's a terrible one. And it works fantastic if you keep it on the stage in your story time.
Right.
But when it's in your real time and not your fantasy time, then when those two overlap, then you've crossed your own boundaries.
Right.
And that's terrible. You're crossing your own boundaries is terrible.
Yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Believe me, I know. You talked about, as the ocean is inside of us, so is the universe. Everything on this planet was made from the universal matter, and all of those ingredients are in us, and we've decided that we are these superior beings, that we are more than, and if we can actually understand we are a collective of, and that the more that we listen to the planet, the more that we listen to the universe, the more that we listen to the ocean, which is a beautiful conduit, listen to the trees, listen to the animal kingdom, listen to the weather and the breeze. The more we're in tune with all of these beautiful elements, the more knowledge we know, and the more in tune we are with our own selves and of each other. But this is the truth of our connection. But we have, as you said, created an artificial one, and this artificial one does not fit.
We have a systemic conflict in our collective unconscious. There's a conflict there. And so we have to resolve this. And one of those conflicts is, well, for one, we're unlike anything else that lives here. We need clothing, and we need shelter, and we need this.
We weren't given fur.
we're energy intensive, and we're curious. Yes. We want to constantly go faster, we're further. We're insane. We're just insane. And because of that, we have to be extra careful. And this is why all the bodhisattvas and masters incarnate here. It says, you guys are special, but you're not too special.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, you're special, but not too special. Yeah. And what they mean by that is you're special in the fact that you've got a lot that's
potential.
That's negative, but you have this incredible ability for choice.
Yes.
And you have this incredible ability to pursue the highest sense of yourself.
Raise that vibration. Yeah.
Even though you might default to being just stupid, and it's in the Bible. It just says these people are crazy, right?
Right. Oh yes.
Right? And I'm sorry I made them. But since you're here, look at this great opportunity you have to really focus on the good. Focus on the beauty, right? And
yes. And there's plenty of it.
And you could look at nature and say, oh my God, it's horrible. Everything's always hungry and killing everything else to survive. But at the same time, you could also say, look at how beautiful it is.
It always gives us whatever it takes. It always replenishes.
So whoever put us here gave us one job. They said, you guys really don't belong here, but because you're here and you're messed up mentally, but you're also got some redeeming social qualities. I'll give you that. I'm going to put you in charge of the place. I know probably it's a bad idea, but
Yeah.
if you see an elephant with a with a pine needle stuck in or something stuck in its foot, go remove it.
Yeah.
You're here to ease the suffering of the poor animals on the planet that could really use your help. I mean, they're doing the best they can. They really don't need you. They probably be better without you.
Yes.
But since you're here, see if you could help out, because you got these and you got
Yeah.
this, and see if you could help out and manage the place, right? Just manage it like a good manager. And we've done really
screwed
bad.
up.
Just really bad.
What an opportunity we had. But I've been doing this 10.5 years, and it's been absolutely beautifully enlightening. When you watch the news, it's like, we're going to hell in a handbasket. Do I want to stick around? And then I do interviews with people that have evolved, that have stepped into that enlightenment, that have taken their journey, gone through their process, and now, in their beautiful purpose. The analogy I use is for us to discover what our instrument is, learn how to play it, and then which orchestra are we going to play it in? Because that orchestra is only as strong as everybody's participation. And some people are going to be soloists, and some people are just going to be the little triangle, but they're all important to the whole equation. And I think we have to look at that, and we've become so much I, me, myself, instead of we, us, and collaboratively. And I think we need to understand, what is our strength, what is our gift, what is our purpose, and how do we bring it to serve others? Because that is what I believe we're here for.
That's when they asked the Buddha, "What are you doing here?" He said, what's our purpose? Well, why am I here? Why are you here? He says, we're just here to help alleviate the suffering of others.
Right.
It's a very, very humble mission in life.
A very simple one.
Because it doesn't interfere with your own pursuit of happiness or joy. It actually adds to it.
Yeah, I agree. It does. You may never know the results of what you've done, but just knowing that energy is being raised, that people are seeing positivity, as you've helped somebody in some way, that is enough of a reward.
That's the only reason why we're here. We're paying off our karmic debt, and it's not a terrible way to pay it off.
No.
Just be kind, be good, help out. It's not a lot to ask, right?
Right.
It's like, okay, we're not, there's, and that's why we should be happy. That's why they celebrate spirituality and God and the angels, is because they know that we they know that we should get it harder, but the mercy on us is, we're actually get away with a lot.
Way too much.
And get away with a lot. And
way too much.
And we're forgiven for it. And so, and that's just saying, hey, look, could you live by our example? You're terrible, but I'm going to forgive you. And then you go about going through life going, I'm not going to forgive.
Yeah.
But the whole point of this is that if we just lighten up, if we're seeking enlightenment, we need to lighten up.
Yes.
And that's that's
in every way, the water, the mind, the heart, the soul, everything. Tell me about your book, because I actually don't have any information here on your book. So tell me about your book and what that's all about.
I wouldn't call it like a book. It's just a nice little booklet, and it explains my journey with before I got into the business side of deuterium depleted water. I was interested in it for a long time before we started as a business, but before that I was very much interested in monatomic elements, or alchemy, metal alchemy and transmutation, but didn't get to the transmutation part. But we did get to the part of reducing gold down to what is no longer like a metallic gold, but a potable gold that has biological benefit. It has and if you look at the USRDA, they don't recommended daily. There's no recommended daily allowance for gold, but there should be, but not for the metal gold, but for the molecularly or monotomically, the chemically rearranged version of gold. And so when you reduce gold down to its short chains of gold atoms, not this million like a metallic, but into the single up to 10 nanometers in size, gold has some incredible properties. So I got into this, started researching it, saw that there was just not much written on this, and just compiled the historical uses, the folklore of it, modern use, all this. People don't really realize that gold is a medicine and
You have
it works.
colloidal silver. Is it a little bit like that in a sense?
It's not. It's completely different.
Okay.
It's like that in the sense that it's a cousin of silver. It's a metal, and it's like that in the sense that there's no benefit in taking silver as a metallic. So colloidal state, it means a smaller state.
Mm-hmm.
And there is colloidal gold as well. And colloidal gold is a benefit, and that means it's in the smaller, reduced state. But we're even talking smaller than the colloid, so a lot smaller.
What are the benefits of it?
It has a catalytic benefit, so it allows everything in the body to work better, essentially. So this is why it was so this is why it was so desired in the ancient days. They figured out that gold, when the body can't digest it, but when you externally digest it, which is what alchemy is, you can create this substance, this high spin state matter that has this benefit in the body. It increases the vibration of everything.
Right.
It increases our ability to conduct energy, and it increases our coherence. So it has this synergistic benefit. So it was overlooked, but not by everybody. So I went and found who didn't overlook it, and I liked it. I like this kind of research. I've done this with the water. I like to know the provenance of things, because we're not. It's if you get it through your head, which we've been brainwashed to believe that every generation we know something more and something better than the previous one. And if you come to terms that, no, there's been times in our history that we've come to something, that we've discovered some things, made incredible breakthroughs, even in like longevity and immortality, if you will. And then it died with the person, or it got buried, or it's not there anymore. Okay.
Wasn't profitable. Or of course, today what we look at is anything that is beneficial to the health. But big pharma wants to put a complete stop to it because
it's a threat. It's a threat
to them. They make money by keeping you sick.
It's a medical racket.
Yes.
And this medical racket is it grips tightly the Western world. Not everybody. They're trying to get the entire world to be part of this. It's basically indentured servitude to the medical mafia. Because once they got you, they're not letting go.
No,
you can't leave.
They're making you dependent.
Making you dependent, and they're driving you there by for the unconscious person dictating their lifestyle choices, because they give them both choices or all the choices, and neither of them are a path to health. Every single choice is a path to a relationship with the pharmaceutical industry,
keeping you a customer,
keeping you a customer, keeping you sick, keeping you enslaved.
Yes.
So it's a mental slavery that leads to physical slavery, and if you don't believe that it's mental slavery, you'll believe when it gets to the physical level. Yeah. Because they used your mind against you, and they got you into making certain lifestyle choices that have now set you well on the path that there is no other intervention that you won't even be able to trust any other intervention.
But I know I've talked to my sister, have done for 30 years, about alternative, which I always think that medical is actually alternative, because all of these other solutions were here long before. Right. And she saw the difference in me. But no, her doctor said if she uses any of this stuff, he will no longer be her doctor. So, threatening.
Of course, fear.
Right? Fear sells. Fear is a control factor, right? So, yes. And the thing is, what we've got to actually understand, I think, is we were given this incredible thing called a brain. and we were given certain programming on how to use our brain. And there is always an answer to something if we're willing to go down the road of inquiry. And that is our choice. We can give in to what ails us or what blocks us, or, you just simply don't know why you're like this. Well, I mean, this is the reason why I do podcasts, is to bring people like you on that is going to shed light on what could be a common problem in people that they don't know about and that there's a solution to. It's your choice if you are going to take the road of a solution or if you're going to stay where you are. That is everybody's you you can take the horse to water, you can't make it drink, leave it there long enough, it's going to realize it's thirsty. But the whole point is information is out there, and we've got to step out of this quick headline emoji, give me the answer right now. I'm willing to be present and stop and listen and investigate, because everything you need to know holistically is right there.
It is. You just have to be willing to stop your own chatter. I mean, it's the
Invest in
same.
yourself with inquiry.
It's we tell stories to ourselves.
Yeah.
And we tell little white lies to ourselves, right? And then we can't. And then it's too late. Like, what I noticed is what really causes people to age is not ignoring their injuries. They just pretend that it'll go away, right? Yeah. They don't give it the energy that it needs.
Yes.
And then that slows you down, and then that compounds over time. And so, because you don't want to face it.
Right.
Because you're going this way, you're like, I'm going this way.
La 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 la.
Yeah, right. Right, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered.
Oh, it's too much effort. I want the quick fix. I want the quick fix, the downloadable app.
So this gives you this now, and the result of that, which has been programmed in our society over time, and people are willingly take it, and they find that, or I see now, what is it, like 8 out of 10 people, maybe 7 out of 10, 9 out of 10 maybe, are in some form of painkiller.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah. That's insanity.
And all that does is it's the band-aid on the pain. It never ever gets down to the root cause. We don't look at root cause.
No, it's a little bonnet. It's a little bonnet on the pain. It's like, how pretty. It's just a
band-aid. That's it. And, it's not going to go away. The pain's going to come back even stronger. We have to look at what's causing it. And physically, ABC can be happening. Obviously, what we're putting in our body, we've got to understand this is a beautiful vessel that we have, and if we're putting the wrong things in there, it can't serve us. So we have to be very conscious of what we're putting in there, but we've also got to be extremely conscious of how we think and how we feed our own thoughts. Because if we go down the negative thoughts all the time, what you plant and what you water and what you nurture is what's going to grow. So even how we talk to ourselves and each other is, we've got to raise that frequency, because that raises our energy, it raises our consciousness, and it gives us the answers that we need to apply.
We have to be on our toes all the time, because because a positive thought and a benefit scale is like a +1, and a negative thought is a -2. So you can get yourself in debt real fast.
Yes.
So for every 2 negative thoughts, you got to have 1 positive thought to replace it.
Actually 8.
Is it 8?
8 positives to undo 1 negative.
8 positives. See, it's even worse than I thought.
Yeah.
So,
and when you find yourself in a negative thought, just go, okay, what are 8 positives? Look at your gratitudes. Look at the beauty around you. Look at all of the things that you're so glad that you have in your life. And if you do that, you actually feel yourself rise up into a different state of being.
But you got to get into a surplus of positive thoughts. Yes. So negative one once in a while doesn't hurt you, but these people are running at a deficit.
Yeah, they're right down there, and and we see more of an increase of anxiety, more an increase of depression. And I'm one that suffers from clinical depression, and when it comes along, I go, okay, right, Mr. Rabbit Hole has opened up. What do I need to do?
Well, it's chemical too.
It is totally. And what I understand for obviously there's an imbalance in there, but I also understand that music helps because of the frequency of the music realigns my body, right?
Big believer in that.
Yeah. Huge. And the thing is, if you're willing to listen, if you're willing to explore, You know, one of the things we all have, every single person on this planet has, is the same time. We've all got 24 hours a day. I don't care who you are, how important you are. We've all got 24 hours. What are we going to do with that time? So many people are wasting their time
That's a
trying to
good
fit
point.
into an image of what somebody else wants you to be, and you're not taking the time to invest and nurture yourself.
Or even if you just do nothing, what was your mental state in that during that
Yeah,
time, right? Like, how
calm.
did you, how, you know, you could be having, you could be on a vacation in Tahiti,
Yes.
swimming with dolphins, and then you be in a terrible mental state, right? Because you're thinking about something back home, or
Mm-hmm.
who knows. Or you could be sitting on the street and it's raining on you, and you're having a good time with your ukulele. Who knows? It's
Yes,
just what
exactly.
was your mental state like in that while you went through that experience? Because the experience will go away, but the feeling that
Mm.
that experience gave you will stay.
Yes, that's the
So
key. Pocket it, stock
pocket
it
it,
up, And the thing is,
stock it up.
learn to be in silence and learn to be with yourself. There's a great deal I give credit to doing nothing. To
I'm a
doing nothing.
big fan of nothing.
It is
Big
just
fan, big
being
fan.
present with self. I drive to my daughter every other week to look after my grandson, and it's about an hour and 40-minute drive. And it's beautiful. I'm going over mountains and there's lakes and everything because I live on Vancouver Island. And I've done the trip so many times it's automatic. And I use that time just to be present with self. Just
Mm,
let whatever thoughts want to swim by, whatever observations. I'm not listening to music. I'm not doing anything other than just being present. My mind knows how to drive there. I'm on automatic, right?
of
I'm still
course.
conscious and I'm aware, but I'm present with self. And we don't do enough of that, where we just live in silence, doing nothing. We've got to be productive, got to work 24 hours a day. No, you don't. If you want a quick death, go ahead. If you
If
want an
you think if
empty
you
life,
think
go ahead.
those people should study Taoism. They'll
Yeah,
correct them real fast.
yes, exactly.
Like,
So
why
the
are you running
water in our
around doing
body,
nothing?
we are. I thought we were 70%. So you're saying 98% body.
98.9 by
Wow,
molecular weight. 'Cause
wow.
everything's yeah. So we're water beings.
We're water beings, and if our water, I literally will have a shower and the water stings me. And wherever I am, where my daughters or I'm here, the different waters go through me at different levels, and you feel thirstier, and you keep drinking more water because the water is not hydrating you, and you kind of, well, what's wrong? Why isn't it? I just need to drink more water, and the more of it's coming out instead of doing the work, that more comes out than seems to go in, and that's because it's just not hydrating anything.
So if you look at it purely scientifically, we have a water that's inside our bodies. So if we drink water that is closer to the water that's inside our bodies,
Mm-hmm.
by virtue of that, it's more compatible, and
Right.
that's true. It's a true statement. So not all water is the same, and like if you look like with the heavy water, it looks like water, but it'll kill you.
Right.
Tastes like water. So water is not all water is the same. It's like not everything. There's 50 brands of cars,
Mm.
but we can agree that there's a difference between this brand and this brand.
Well, it's like
So
human beings. We're all, have the same organs and eyes, nose, etc., but we're all a different model, right? And how we
well, you
drive
also
this vehicle.
you got to ask yourself, what do you want?
Right. What's your
Do you
why?
want do you want if you're okay with just being average,
Hmm.
that's fine. If you want to be optimal and maintain that, or then you have to have interventions that promote that, create that. Or if you're ill and you've decided to you've made the choice to fix yourself, and now you're going to do the research, you're going to find out what's going to work for me, and you're going to understand, the very first thing you understand is that it's an energy game
Yes.
because you need energy to heal, and the second thing you're going to understand, it's an inflammation game.
Hmm.
So, and then, well, you have this. My philosophy is that I looked at this Merck manual and these other manuals they're like this thick, and they have every disease known to man imaginable named, written out and what it does. And I'm looking at nature and I'm like, nature hasn't named any diseases.
All right.
I don't understand. This is we just made this up. So my goal became to stay ahead of all of these things that are named. You know, mm-hmm. If I'm not feeling well, I'm not going to name it. Mm. I'm just going to do what I need to not feel that. I don't want it named, because once you named it,
you're giving it power.
You've given it power, and worse.
Yes.
You know, you've now you self-identified with.
Well, and that's the thing. People become their condition rather than I have a condition. I have a condition which is we partner, we live together. All right. And there's times this partner speaks louder than the other. All right. And I'm not going to give it any more power than I have to. And now and again, I have to listen to it, because those are the triggers that say you're overdoing it. This is time to hold back and take care of yourself. But it is something that has attached itself to me, but it is not me. I am not that disease. And I think that's one of the things that we're going to get some ailments along the way. But if you don't become them, and they're just something that's a part of you that you learn to manage, they don't have control over you.
You don't give them the energy.
Don't give them the energy. Exactly. But you also learn to respect yourself and go, okay, my energy's dipped down. Why is it dipped down? Need to switch off, take some time to re-energize myself, look after myself, and just look at it as a message. Pay attention to your own energy. Whom you're giving it to, who is zapping it from you.
We're a battery.
How you're spending it, your barriers, right?
Well, we're a battery.
Yeah.
And
you got to charge it up.
You got to charge it up, and there's different ways to charge the battery up. And sunlight, good times, music, all these things contribute to the ultimate charge of the battery. And we have boundaries and barriers. Life, like when you think about it, when you look at the two things that we need for life, that eukaryotes need for life, anything that's aerobic in nature as a strategy for life. We use oxygen, mm-hmm. and then we use iron. Iron is primary, and hemoglobin. It's a big energy source for us, mm-hmm. right? So we need oxygen and iron to live. And yet these are the two most toxic substances mm-hmm. that we know, like in the universe, like naturally, because we form a cage around iron to transport it because it's so reactive, and then oxygen is so reactive. Life has created membranes. Membranes exist because of oxygen, mm-hmm. because these membranes are keeping oxygen. It's regulating how much oxygen can come in. Mm-hmm. It's so oxidizing. So so we've learned to use these what normally appear to be very toxic substances, iron and oxygen, because they're so reactive. We've learned to use them for our fundamental biology, for our energy. And and it wouldn't work. It all breaks down when the healthy barrier is removed. Mm-hmm. We have a very healthy barrier, and we float in this barrier, right? With our aura, with our cellular structure, we have this barrier because we are autonomous beings. And in being autonomous, that's our spirit, right?
Yes.
It's autonomous spirit, but it has a relationship with this thing that is of the earth, because nobody landed it here on a starship. We're all homegrown. We're made of the elements of this planet. Mm-hmm. We are of this earth. Everything of us is of this earth, mm-hmm. except the spirit. Mm-hmm. Because the spirit
is the conscious and the driving force.
It's a universal consciousness.
Yeah.
So, and yes, and that's made a deal with this terrestrial physical embodiment, which lives in this state of entropy. Like everything that spins slows down. So we live in this state of entropy. But because our spirits are immortal, we are constantly hungry and we won't rest until we crack this code of room temperature superconductor, levitation, teleportation. I mean, we're like, we want to crack the code of immortality and omniscient impotence. You know, we want to become our own God, so to say, but not because we want to control things, but because in our spirit we have that ability. We have this ability for everything. We can create everything that we think of. We can manifest everything, right? And here we come to this planet, we're like, oh, I'm having a problem with my manifestation power. It's a different density. So
Yes.
we're in a different density, and we get tripped up in managing this density while we're here. So for me, everything, my whole life is about how do you lower this density? You know, how do you lower the temperature, right? And so this is what my primary pursuit has been, is to find these things, these interventions that allow us in this pursuit of the path of least resistance, as we're trying to figure out what all this is while we're here, you know. So
the spiritual experience of, you know, spiritual traveling, which I do not nearly as frequently as I should, but I do. I'm up in the universe. I'm of no body. I am just of universal energy and spirit. The knowledge is all abundant, and I'll know what I need to know. I am at peace. I'm in heaven. It is just a wonderful experience.
wow.
And then you kind of come back into body and you go, do I have to? And you know,
what is it? Yeah, what is this?
Immortality is the consciousness that continues to live on. The body is just the vessel that we borrow for an experience, as we are evolving spiritually and consciously, as we are learning. And if we could actually honor the vessel that we've been given in this lifetime for the spiritual experience, and you know, of the human spiritual experience, because being in the human body allows us that touch, taste, hold, feel that we don't necessarily feel in the spirit. So it is an extension of an experience, a spiritual experience, by being aligned with the human body. It took me a long time to find that harmony with the human body, or be with humans, because of the lower vibration. You know, being up in the spirit world is so much more peaceful. But I came here to do a job, and that was to ignite heart and spirits, and for people to learn to bring the spiritual essence of themselves into the human body and have that experience, that aligned experience. And it's not an easy one, when, you know, until you find the harmony within your body, until you can find the beautiful collaboration between spirit and body. And if the body is optimized, if the body is running properly, then the spiritual experience is going to be even more.
Absolutely. It's a machine that runs well, is there's no substitute.
Right, exactly. And it is, you know, there is that, in that feeling of holding a puppy dog or a newborn baby, you know, walking amongst the trees and the leaves are speaking to you, the breeze through your hair, the water, which is a wonderful conduit, and that conduit is within us at 98 point something percent. So we're always connected if we just choose to unplug from the exterior chatter and expectation and tap into everything that is around us, that is connected and feeding us and guiding us.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it so well. Yeah, it's really should be, you know, originally this is why these world religions had a day of rest, right? It's just like they needed it. Like they just told you, this is, you just don't do anything. Just
right. Exactly.
Go play frisbee in the park. That's it.
Yeah. Or even when you went to worship, it was less the worshiping the big God, but more of a connectiveness, a collective connectiveness in that church of the energies coming together, you know, and you know, that let go of the world expectation, your work or anything else. It's that village coming together in a vibration of love, and
let's
the
get
worship
into
of that higher energy.
Absolutely. Nobody went to church. Nobody went to church to complain. Everybody went to church to give thanks and praise, right? Like, hey, let's, and our next person complain about something, and the next guy. No, it was all about how it was all for the highest good of the community. And so anyway, that's where we're at, and I'm hoping that I can play a part in our greater community in helping them with their health when it comes to educating them about this problem of deuterium, this heavy water problem that we have in our body, and how it's a small thing that you can do if you can do it, and if you're guided to it, and that has incredible benefit because we're understanding things about our physiology and our biology that we haven't known for a long time.
Right. And what I love what you've got here is the reset, the mitochondrial reset. It is resetting the body. It's rebalancing, and this is the whole thing about life. To have the spiritual experience in the human body is that there has to be a balance, an equilibrium, a lovely yin yang seesaw, always in harmony with each other. We don't want the extreme highs and the extreme lows. We want a wonderful balance. So it is about resetting the chemistry in our body so it can match the harmony. So how do people actually get this water? What countries are you in? How do people, is it something they can do? They buy from the bottle? Is it something they add to a tap? What is it?
Right, like I said, you can't. There's no home device that will make this. So we make this in a big factory, and we certainly don't make that much of it because it's fairly new technology and it takes a lot of energy and power, which makes it more expensive than other water. Now we sell it on our website. It's Drink Litewater, and Litewater is spelled LITEWATER.com. So it's drinklitewater.com. The company is Litewater Scientific, and right now, we just sell direct to consumers. In North America, we sell in the U.S. and Canada. We have distribution points here. As far as Europe, we don't have a distribution point yet. We do have some customers. They pay an exorbitant amount for shipping, but they believe in the product and they can afford it. So we do have some customers there, and Asia as well, Australia, kind of smaller market. But right now, we're concentrating our marketing and sales and distribution in North America. So what most people do is they get about 16 liters of water for the month, which is 2 cases, and that allows them to lower the deuterium level in their bodies over time, and then they maintain it as well as they can. And we have a lab where we can test your saliva and other fluids, your water, tap water, for example, will tell you what your deuterium level is because you want to make sure this is working for you. So people test after they're on this for a while, or they also do a baseline in the beginning, but you can pretty much guess what your deuterium levels are based on where you live and your lifestyle. But after you're on deuterium depleted water for 3 months or more, you can test your levels and see that you've reached the goal. And the goal is to get 20% lower. So a normal human body is about 150 parts per million in their deuterium content. And your goal is to get down into the 120 range. So 16 to 20%, and maintain that. And over time, that will give you incredible energetic benefit. So, and that energy, it's not an adrenal energy like drinking coffee. That energy is a cellular energy. And cellular energy goes where it's missing.
Yes.
It goes where it's needed. So it helps with a lot of things. But one thing people notice when they're deuterium depleted, they notice their skin improves, their skin tone improves. They notice obviously their energy improves because it's a mitochondrial benefit, and all the things downwind from that, like better sleep. If you have healthier mitochondria, better sleep. There was a study on depression with this because certainly if you have more energy, you're less depressed. So there's all kinds of benefit, biological benefit.
Right. You're helping the body, optimize its energy, and the higher its energy and its frequency, the more it's stepping into the love frequency, the universal frequency, and the more you're actually going to be conscious of why you're here.
You're reducing a burden. If you can imagine, you have this backpack on with a lead weight in it, and you take the backpack off. You go, okay, well, I've learned to live with that weight, and I've learned to, after you learn to live with something, you pretty much like blocked it out that it bothers you. But wow, what a relief when it's removed.
Yeah.
And as we get older, it becomes more important because in the beginning or in the first phase of your life, considering you're quite healthy individual, you test your limits, push your limits, you learn about the body. Biohacking is very popular now. You understand what this vessel is that you've been given, and you explore it. And after 50, which I am now, it's no by this time you should have explored it. You know what your body is. You know what it can do, what it can't do, and you're well conditioned in knowing yourself. So now it becomes about geroprotection, meaning the long road. How long can you maintain the youth that you've invested so much into? How long can you maintain the state of health that you've invested time, effort, and just at some point, if you're a healthy person, it's because that's your lifestyle, not because you're intentionally every day going, oh, I got to be healthier today, and then, so those habits take over. And these habits they're cumulative. But as you age, there's nothing, absolutely nothing, that will give you the net energy benefit that you will get from deuterium depletion. There's nothing. Everything else is eventually going to take energy from you because it gives you temporary energy, but at the same time, you have to manage the fallout. You have to manage the carbon, right? That's what we breathe, not for oxygen. If we breathe for oxygen, we would need 1 breath a minute. We breathe to exhale carbon dioxide because we constantly have to get rid of this carbon. And so efficiency becomes really important. So a lot of athletes, I notice, they're very efficient. Their bodies are very honed, like a finely tuned race car in the beginning of their lives. But later, they're very sick and injured and they have all these problems. So they really taxed themselves early on in life
and didn't maintain.
So as you get older, it really becomes about maintaining what you have, achieving the health that you want, not identifying with the person that's sick, because that's a trap. You constantly never get well. You identify with the person that wants to get optimal health, and then you achieve it. At some point, you can achieve it. Trust me.
Yes.
Many people have.
Yes.
Okay. They've achieved functional optimal health. And by that, I mean, there's no pain. There's no pain. Your brain is always working. You could eat, you could not eat. You get up ready to go. You're energetic. You're healthy. You've got virility in your body and your mind. And now you want to maintain that because you will. Age is you just lose a little bit of a year of that. And then you get into denial about that. Eventually you can no longer, but and so we want to slow down the aging process. And by maintaining lower deuterium levels in our body, the way our cellular water is lower in deuterium, we stop or we don't completely stop. We minimize this mechanical damage that's constantly, it's erosion. It's constantly, it's like water lapping at the shore. Eventually it's going to erode it back, right? The water is always going to win. So the quality of the water that you have becomes really important to shape this vessel that it's occupying. So, and then maintain what we have. And then the, if youth is wasted on the young and wisdom is wasted on, and then, but the opposite of that is
we would like the body to actually, support the wisdom, because now we've got the wisdom, we know what to do. We want the body to actually help us do it, not deter us.
There you go. Youth is wasted on the young and wisdom is wasted on the old.
Yeah.
So the only answer is to just be in the middle somewhere.
Yes.
Right. Be wise, old and wise, but youthful.
Youthful in body. And we're seeing this so much with people today because, your biggest investment is in yourself. You cannot help anyone else if you're depleted. And, people will spend money on this, that, etc., on the exterior and not on the interior. And you need to invest in good food, good water, maintaining your health, investing in your quality of your health by, what can you do? What do you need to know? You don't know about it? And then there's this thing called the internet, where you can go in and say, look, this is what I'm feeling, and see what comes up, and then be willing just to go through the information until some of that information is something you resonate with and you want to give it a try. But if you don't participate in your own health, then it's going to cost you.
They got it too easy these days. I had to go use the card catalog at the library.
Yes. Yeah, I'm way older. I'm 68. I remember that
You
very, very well.
remember, right? They got it too information just like right here.
Exactly. And maybe that's too easy for you and you become nonchalant about it. But anytime you become nonchalant about something, you're not actually understanding the value of what has been given you. And I think is stop looking for the quick fix, stop looking for the quick information. Take that gift that you've been given called time and investigate, listen, learn, and apply.
My teachers have always taught me to learn how to ask the right question.
Mm-hmm.
And that it all starts with that. If you
Yes.
don't have the right question formulated of what you want to know, then the answer will be useless to you.
Exactly. You won't know how to apply it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it goes back to being present with self and go, I recognize there's something wrong. My energy level isn't where it should be. What can I do to optimize it? I never knew about this kind of water today. As I said, I've done a lot of shows on water, energetic water, purified water, etc., etc., and I'd never ever heard of this before. So this is something that is new. It certainly makes sense. And for every single one of us is probably having the same problem, and we didn't even know it existed.
Every
So,
human on the planet,
mm-hmm.
when you look at the ones that have less of it, they're healthier and they live longer. And that was
Yes.
the first clue. So this is like they say it took me 40 years to become an overnight sensation.
Yes.
That's what you have here, because this has been known about for quite some time, but
Yeah.
it's only been made available for people at a reasonable cost compared to what it used to cost to do this just over the last few years. So this is exciting. This is something very new
And of
for
course, the
people.
more you expand, the less the cost will be, the more people can reach it. And as with any new product, it's always going to be costly in the beginning.
Absolutely. It's a
Do
matter
you
of
need that
scale.
new car? Do you need that new outfit? Do you need that new computer? Perhaps you could take that money and invest in your health, because none of that other stuff makes any difference to you if you haven't got your health.
Absolutely. People need to invest in their health first.
Yeah.
Everything else is secondary, because you're not going to get the use of your gadget.
No. Yeah. Well, this show is called Your Health is Your Choice, and everything is your choice. Once you know what you're going to do about it, and if you don't know, how are you going to investigate what you need to know? But we have to be proactive in our own lives. Not like I got a diagnosis, oh, woe is me. So many people die from the diagnosis and not the disease.
People die from the fear of the
Yes,
diagnosis.
yes, they do.
I had a friend that went for a checkup, and they said, "Oh, you've got end stage pancreatic cancer. We got to admit you right away, and I don't know if we could save you. We got to start radiation right away." And he goes, "All right. I mean, you just diagnosed me. Don't you think it's a little too soon?" And he goes, "No, you can't even go home. We got to get you in here right away, right now." And he goes, "Well, I understand, guys, but I'm gonna take some time to think about it, because what you basically tell me is I'm dying, and I'm just gonna go home and think about. You can't go home. You're not in your right state of mind. He goes, "Guys, just leave me alone, all right?"
Yeah.
So on the way home, he's got three cops pull him over. Say, "The hospital called. They said you're not right mind. You got a bad diagnosis. We're so sorry. We're here to escort you back to the hospital." And he's like, "Am I under arrest?" He says, "No, we're just here to help." Like, oh, okay, just get lost. Just get lost. I'm going. And this guy went home. My friend went home, and he just did what we were talking about, right? He just went into silence, thought about things. He says, "Okay, what am I gonna do?"
Yeah.
Well, I don't like what they're offering, because I'll die. I'll die.
Yeah.
And even though they want me to, but I'm not going to listen to them, because I'm listening to myself. He said, "I'm just going to listen to what the universe wants me to do. I'm going to go in this." And the universe said, "Just take it easy." Basically, he did a couple things. He went to a hot spring every day and soaked in hot water every day. did some other alternative things, but did it slowly. He wasn't rushed into it. See, the hospital and the hospital and the doctors tried to get him into a sympathetic nervous condition, into a sympathetic state, fight or flight. And he goes, no, 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 no. If I got cancer right now, I need to be in nature and nurture mode. What are you guys, crazy?
Yeah, yeah.
So he went into this nature and nurture mode, and you know what? Whereas somebody like Patrick Swayze died from it, the guy went into remission and recovered, because it was all mental, and it was all about reevaluating your life choices, changing some things, and letting the body do the rest.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, it wasn't fast moving like some other ones, and he could have been dead, but he just willed himself. But sure enough, he would have been dead in 6 months if he had listened to the doctor.
I agree. And the thing is, the power of the mind, when you invite the body and the mind to work together, and again, the universal energy and earth energy and everything, okay, come, let's work together. Let's work together. It's amazing. It will lead you to the things that are going to help you. But the biggest thing is being calm, being present, being in sync.
Have a connection.
Yes.
Find your connection, because that connection is with
your
everything.
Life force.
It's your life force, and it's what nature is constantly informing us is that greatness of nature is within us.
Yes.
So you just that sun, the sun that shines upon us, that power, that light, that energy is within as well. That ocean is within. That air.
We're everything. We're everything out there.
We are everything out there. Yeah. So if we
represent earth, we represent water, we represent universe, we represent it all. And if we become in tune with it and ignite those energies together, it could fortify us in such a way. But the mind has to be open enough to allow it in, allow you to become more equilibrium and allow all of these energies to come and dance together.
Well, there's nothing like a good crisis to get you in the present moment.
Well, I call that the cosmic 2x4. Are you listening now? So, yeah. So, my dear, people, it's drinklitewater.com, Lite water.com. You're in LinkedIn, which is Vic Love, VICLOV.
That's me. Yeah, I'm on. That's
Instagram,
right.
Instagram, Drink Light Water.
Drink Light Water.
YouTube channel as well, and all the information is there. And I've got a little video up here too of just what it's all about here on your show page, and it's really all about. This is another avenue that you can take that can optimize your body that you didn't know about before. And, it's definitely worthwhile investigating. It's definitely worthwhile giving it a try. You've also got to understand it's not a quick fix. As you said, 3 months, you got into trouble over a period of time. Your body has to become untroubled, and that's going to take some time.
It's going to take some time, and it's a lifestyle commitment.
Yeah.
You should know what you're getting into. There's a cost associated with it, but it's next level.
It's investment in yourself. As I said, what's good is the fancy car or the fancy house or the fancy outfit if the body is deteriorating, right? This is the vehicle, this is the housing.
People ask me who needs this and who our customers are, and my answer is it's everybody that can afford to drink this and everybody that can't afford not to.
Yeah.
Because if you are at a deficit, deuterium depletion you need it.
Yeah.
It's why, if you can afford it, you'd be crazy not to do it.
Yeah.
At least while supplies last, because like I said, we don't make enough. But I encourage anybody that has, if you're feeling like, if you're feeling a little stuck or a little heavy physically, light water.
Especially if you've been going through a number of things, a number of health things, just keep coming up. You need to help your body.
Well, you need
So
the energy. It's an energy game,
yeah,
right?
you
You
need
need
the
the energy.
energy
You
to
need the
help your
energy.
body heal. And especially if you've been given one whack, two whack, three whack, that means your body's screaming for help. So give it the help that it needs. It's the medicine,
The
right?
reason that people get overrun with an illness or like cancer is because the more the more it zaps energy from you, the more energy you need to
Yeah, I
fight it.
know. And you're not
So
regenerating that
you're not
energy.
regenerating
No,
fast,
you're just
right?
using it up faster than you can replenish it. So, yes.
Right. So
So if
any
you've got something that can help
intervention,
that.
any of these top level interventions, what I like to call upstream interventions, source
Yes.
code interventions, have to do with energy, conservation of energy, cellular energy. So that's what we do at Litewater. We provide a water that will get you down the path a little bit more elegantly.
Yes. There's always a solution, folks. It's a question if will you apply, and you never know what's going to help you until you're willing to try. And that's the important thing. Invest in yourself. Look at the various means that you can do it, because without this vehicle, what is your life? What is your life? You're not optimizing your life. You're not serving other people. You're not serving yourself. So take care of you first. Your health is your choice. So here is a choice for you. Look into it, give it a try, see how it works for you, because it just may be the answer that you're looking for. Thank you so much for being here today, Victor.
Thank you.
Until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or selfdiscoverymedia/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations, or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom. And the next show will be up in just a moment.